I'm Kaitlyn Zink, the Digital and Product Marketing Manager at Killington Pico. I'm going to talk about our experience implementing an SMS text message channel into our World Cup communications plan for a ski race we hosted last November. Killington's been a stop on the World Cup ski race tour for the last 6 years, with the exception of a one-year hiatus in 2020 for the pandemic. We host the event every Thanksgiving weekend. It brings top athletes from all around the world to compete in giant slalom and slalom races. Tens of thousands of spectators gather at our K1 base area to watch the action on the Superstar Trail, which gets turned into, louder, a race course throughout the month of November. The event also features a vendor village, live music from some pretty big acts, and we offer a variety of ticket options from general admission to all-inclusive VIP packages. And this event just generally generates a lot of stoke around the East Coast action sports ski racing community. And as you can imagine, with an event of this scale, the communications plan leading up to and during the event is pretty extensive. And so last year, starting about 6 weeks before the event, we created a new text message group in the Mobility platform for World Cup specific updates and reminders as the event approached, and to use as a day of communication when the races were actually happening. We promoted opt-in through all of our marketing channels, email, on our website, social media, and through the existing General Resorts update text list that we'd already gathered. We had been using Mobility for about a year to this point. We first introduced it in fall of 2020 to communicate General Resort operational updates and use it as a promotional channel as well. We communicated things like opening day announcements, parking reservations, information which was pretty critical in that 2020 year. We communicated powder alerts, and we also did some operational updates, like when a major lift would go down for an extended period of time. And then things like, did I say powder alerts? Powder alerts when it snows 6 or more inches. That's pretty exciting. Season pass deadlines, stuff like that. So here are just some screenshots. You probably can't read that in the back. But this is, the top one is just a screenshot from our website where people could opt in to the World Cup text list via web form. Below is just a snapshot from an email we sent, same deal. And then this is just a rendering of the web opt-in form on mobile. It's what it looked like when people signed up. We asked for first name, last name, their phone number, and email. So initially, when we introduced the SMS channel into the World Cup communications program, we were excited to use it to communicate COVID-related requirements, which were unique to last year's event. We did require that people show proof of vaccination or a negative test from the past 72 hours in order to gain entry into the event. And we really wanted to make sure we were thorough with that piece of communication. And we also offered some tips for like a best experience for spectators. Things like, like a reminder, don't forget your vaccine card or negative test. And then things like consider printing your ticket for faster entry into the venue. We did have a big security checkpoint that everyone had to go through. And we wanted to make sure we weren't going to create a bottleneck at security with people rifling through their phones, trying to find various pieces of information that were required for entry, like their ticket, QR code, for example, and then like a different application for their vaccine card. So we offered little tips like that. We had a vanity URL created for text purposes, killington.com/WCinfo would take them to the spectator information page. That was a good, just like succinct link that we could put into a text that wouldn't eat up too many characters. We peppered that in throughout the pre-event messaging. So we were very thankful that we had implemented this channel prior to the event when an unexpected operational challenge occurred, which I will get into in a minute. But up until this point, we really had no way to communicate well with spectators on site during the event. And thankfully, we never really needed to. In years prior, we didn't have any major operational challenges that had to be communicated. Just like short little race delays here and there. Oops. Oops. Oh, there we go. So now that we had an easy way to communicate to people on site with this large text group, I carved out a outline of messages that we could send throughout the days, a series of different informational tidbits, like welcoming people to day one of the event. The vendor village is open. And then we plan to notify people as the races approached, giving them a 15-minute warning to make their way to the viewing area. We're going to do plugs for the musical performances. Anyway, my plan fell apart quickly when 19 inches of snow fell in the 10 hours prior to the first race on the first day of the event. And you might think, snow, that's great for skiing. But not for these people. These athletes don't race on powder. They race on very firmly packed surfaces, more like an ice skating rink. So anyway, the course had to be cleared. And instead of my awesome outline with all these planned messages, we started sending messages about the delays. So first thing in the morning, we had to let everybody know that the vendor village would be delayed, and then the first race was delayed, and by mid-morning, both of the giant slalom races for the day had been canceled. So we swooped in pretty quickly with our text list and started letting people know alternative options, things that they could do. So we still had the musical performances, and we bumped up the first one to go a little bit earlier. And we let people know that they could visit our vendors in the village, doing little sponsor plugs. We let people know that the warming tent was open to all spectators, like go warm up, grab a warm beverage. And then we had OAR performing that afternoon, and people were excited about that. So what could have been kind of a catastrophe ended up being pretty fine. People really attend the event, I would say maybe 50% for the vibe of, the venue and being with like-minded people and the music and drinking beer and all of that. So they still got to do all of those things even though the races were canceled. Right. So interestingly, throughout that first day, we saw an increase in subscriber volume. Throughout the weeks leading up to the event, we'd accumulated about 2,500 subscribers into this list. And for comparison, our general resort text list has about 7,000 right now, so we thought 2,500 seemed pretty good. And then by mid-morning, as word spread about the opportunity to receive real-time alerts directly to people's phones, we saw that subscriber volume increased slowly, and by late morning, we had about 3,500 people in that text group. People definitely wanted to stay informed, and this was the easiest way for people to get info directly into their pocket and stay up to date on the delays and what else we had going on that day. In case you were wondering, the next day went much better. It was a beautiful day. The venue was covered in a shimmering coat of fresh snow. We sent our regular plan scheduled text messages, welcoming people to day 2. Race is going to start soon. Head over to the viewing area. And Michaela Schifrin won, which is what most people came to see anyway. And it turned out to be a great weekend. We were very glad that we had that communication channel via the SMS. One key learning that I got out of this experience was that SMS is just generally a higher turnover channel than what I had originally thought. Sort of taught us to not grip so tightly to that list of subscribers. We had people in this text list for a short period of time, and it was super effective while we retained them. I know everybody in this group is highly trained in data hygiene when it comes to email, and just in general our CRMs. And I found myself kind of applying that to the SMS channel and maybe prioritizing retention over effective campaign strategy, and I've kind of learned to let that go a little bit. And I think probably the most important learning that came out of this experience was that having a dedicated specific list that people opt into for an event or a campaign is super helpful in SMS. Generally, getting people to opt in for a specific reason decreases the need to be so mindful of send volume, which is, we have to really be careful with our general list. We send about a text a week on average, and really a strong mix of promotional and informational. And when you have a targeted list for a very specific topic, you can kind of send them as much information as possible or as much information as you want, because you know that they have given that explicit opt-in to receive as much info as you have about that particular topic. So we applied this learning over this past summer with our bike camp text list. So around late winter, we started getting messages into our social media accounts and calls into our call center from parents who wanted to book summer camps for their kids. Apparently they plan pretty far in advance for how they're going to occupy their child's summer. And we didn't have those products ready to sell yet, but we wanted to keep them on the line for when those products were built. So we created a bike camp interest text group with an opt-in form and, again, a vanity URL linking to that form. We gave the URL to our social media team, call center, and then we posted the link to the web form on our website, so that when people called inquiring about camps, we could direct them to that list. They signed up. As soon as our products were ready to sell, we could text them, let them know camps were ready to book. And so those camps can fill up pretty quickly. So parents were glad to have an option to kind of be the first to know directly into their pocket when they could reserve their spot for those camps. So that was pretty successful. For reference, we had about 200 people in that interest group, and there are about 500 bike camp slots for the entire summer. So I'd say it's a pretty decent ratio. So looking ahead to this upcoming winter, with the mobility and Inntopia integration that some people up here were talking about earlier, we are now able to sync lists directly from Marketing Cloud to our mobility SMS platform. And so we're going to carry this sort of topical dedicated list strategy throughout our future SMS campaigns using that integration. So we can kind of segment our database and then identify who is textable, so who we have phone numbers for matched to, and we can hit that more specific list, same as we would with email, for example. So the plan is to eventually include SMS in like our pre-arrival campaign, and we can also now more reliably hit people who we guess are on mountain. We can use ticket event date for pre-purchase ticket products, and we can use scan data for pass holders, lodging on the books, things like that, so that when we send these like operational messages, like a key lift is down, we don't have to inform our entire list that we're having operational issues. We can just hit people that it really applies to, who are likely on mountain. So yeah, with this new functionality and everything that we've learned throughout the last couple of years using SMS, the World Cup experience, for example, just looking to expand the use of SMS as a communications channel, and just improve, segmenting and better targeting pieces of our list. And of course, we're still working on growing opt-ins and getting as much information as possible from our subscribers as they subscribe, so we could do that data match and use that Inntopia and Mobility integration to its highest value. That's all I have. Yeah, okay.
Did you say earlier that the SMS message can include a live link?
Yeah,
okay.
Yes, yep.
And then also, what's the character limit on your messaging?
I want to say it's like 180, but we can also do MMS, which brings the character limit up to like 1,200. It's more expensive per message, but if we really needed to send a longer message, we can.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Anyone else have questions? Yeah.
Did you have other email marketing and other channels for the World Cup, or was it just primarily SMS?
Oh yeah, no, well, especially leading up to the event, yes. We used all of our channels to communicate about tickets going on sale, COVID requirements, any spectator details, what you can and cannot bring into the event. We sent lots of emails, lots of website stuff, social media. Yeah, this was just one piece. Yeah.
I saw the opt-in with just adding your mobile number, but is there also an option to add like specific dates that someone is at your resort or something like that?
So when we collect subscribers, we just want their basic customer information, and then using Marketing Cloud, we can identify if they have an upcoming visit and exactly when they'll be here. I don't know exactly what programs everybody uses and how familiar everybody is. I just talked about it kind of generally, so sorry if there's some pieces missing there. But just using the list builder in Marketing Cloud, we can identify in general, like throughout our whole database, who's going to be here, and then we can tell if they're textable or not. And if they are, then they get sent, we can sync the list to Mobility and text them that way. So that's what I was referring to. Yeah. Anything else? Yes?
Did you get a lot of replies? We use Mobility, and managing the replies and became challenging for us. How did you guys kind of approach that?
Yeah, people do reply a lot, and we found that mostly it's like, thanks. They're just saying, hey, which like kind of clutters the inbox. But we also have a call center text channel that people can text our call center agents for information. And that is, I think people knew that if they wanted to text us for that information, they could use that channel instead. If people had like a major concern, we would reply, but we didn't really have to do a whole lot of that actually in our experience. Yeah. Good. Thank you.